Hello. So I recently learned how to knit, and now it's your problem. So I saw this reel made by Sad Knits, and there was a particular item. It spoke to me the way that certain cursed items speak to my soul. They bury themselves inside my brain, and I cannot get rid of them until I make the thing. But we're making an entire outfit. Here is my design. I'm actually like tearing up a tiny bit for how excited I am about this. Basically, we have the hood, the balaclava with the point, a jumper, very long gloves, bloomers / shorts of some kind, and our garter stockings with long, pointy, medieval shoe bases. Yes? Here's the thing. I started knitting 4 months ago. So far, I have knit some swatches, this beanie, and I'm partway through this scarf. That's it. So, needless to say, I actually don't have the skills to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So we're gonna have to figure it out as we go. There are a lot of things that I don't know how to do. Namely, I don't know how to knit in the round. I don't know what German short rows are. So just know, I'm not gonna do these very well, but I'm gonna have a good time doing it. Oh, I can't tell you how excited I am to finally get to start this. This bag of yarn has been staring at me for months. I started collecting the yarn for this a while ago. Would you like to see? Could I have my light back, please? All right, the sun decided to go away at this exact moment. Hang on. Oh, yes. Ha ha ha. Okay, so we've got like 10 of these gray alpaca blends. This is the lighter gray bunch. These are a dark blue whack wool, oranges and pinks, purples and blue and cream, yellow, browny, maroon and pink. So these gorgeous yarn cakes here that you probably can't see because they're in plastic. These are hand spun and naturally dyed by a local woman. I'm thinking maybe for the gloves, some of these colors could be really good and also in the mask. But we'll kind of just see what colors work and what textures work, because I know that some of these green ones are very scratchy and I don't know if I actually want to use them at all. So you might be wondering how someone with as little knitting experience as me is planning on making this entire outfit in less than a couple of years. And here is my plan. Really thick needles. So I picked all of these up on Facebook Marketplace. They're either pure wool or a blend because I didn't read the listing properly. All right, let's pick out some colors for our leggings. They're gonna look so bad. They're gonna look so ugly with all these colors together. So I'm thinking maybe for our first lot, we will try these colors together. So as you can see, I had just an array of colors, fibers, and gauges to work with, and my plan from the get-go was to make upsetting color combinations by holding the yarns together and using 15mm needles so it would knit up quickly. As an aside, 15mm needles do not make it knit up quicker. They're super awkward to work with, and I think it actually slowed me down quite a bit. It is becoming apparent that this is too loose. My first attempt at a swatch is not going great, and I think this was lacking some blue anyway. So let's bring in a blue thread. What have I done? Why do I have this? Those are some of the aforementioned swatches, but I refuse to cut the yarns because I don't want to waste any of it. I wanted to start with the stockings, and my plan was to knit them flat and then seam them together because that is all my brain could handle at this stage. I know I'm using round needles, but I got them because they disperse the weight and also so I can so I can knit larger things like blankets. I just took Al for a walk and I can see where he ate his biscuits. Alfred, what do you have to say for yourself? All right, that's fair. This is your spot. I'm the one who put wool here. I've spent the afternoon swatching and I have come to some decisions. So here we have, using 10 different balls of yarn, the 15mm in, I'm gonna call this the licorice all sorts. I think the blue throws that off, but it's still the vibe. This is too chunky for the stockings. I have realized this is gonna be good for our jumper, but I just cannot use the 15mm for the stockings. This is done on the 12mm, and this is only 5 balls of yarn, and I love this color combination. This one is using 9 balls of yarn, and this is in this like autumn colorway. This is exactly what I want for the stockings. I really like this. However, these are my 10mm needles. And I have realized just how much easier this will be to do in the round. I have my one little swatch here of circular knitting when I tried to do magic loop. Yeah, actually this will be heaps quicker for stockings. So I don't have 10mm round needles. So tomorrow morning, the shops are shut now, I can't go. But tomorrow morning, I am gonna go and pick up probably some interchangeable 10mm needles, because the thing that gets me stuck with circular knitting is what length cable I'm meant to have. So The camera is so heavy, hang on. We're filming just so much of this on the floor, I don't know why. Oh wait, no, I do know why. We're filming this on the floor because my desk is covered in jewelry stuff. Yeah, it's a jewelry setup at the moment. Oh, we're moving on to the jumper, I didn't mention that. We're moving on to the jumper. We're gonna start the stockings tomorrow, but for now, let's think about the jumper. Here's how I'm planning on doing this. I have this turtleneck jumper, which is seamed together and fits me really well. What I'm gonna do is just use this as my pattern and match my knitted pieces to the components of this jumper so that it will fit me. It's a good plan, right? So this is our jumper inside out, and as you can see, even the turtleneck part has been seamed on. This my brain understands. And so what I'm thinking is, we've got our little reference image there, and I'm thinking it looks like I have decided I was gonna do like 3 stripes. This is around about a third. Oh, yes. I'm so excited. Okay, that's gonna be my evening. Okay, so get comfortable seeing me in my hoodie and wrangling multiple strands of yarn for like 70% of this video. Also, I said we were gonna start the stockings the next day. That's obviously not gonna happen. Now that we've started the jumper, I'm gonna keep working on the jumper. Also, I can only imagine how frustrating this project would be to watch for experienced knitters. I'm finding it hard to watch how slow I am, and this is only me from 3 months ago. Some of that slowness is due to the huge needles though. I think they were a misstep. I did SSK and knit 2 together to make the point on the stripes, but I struggled to make the end a proper point, so I think they all ended up looking a little bit different. Kinda like how these 2 pieces look pretty different. Good morning. I should really think about what I'm gonna say before I start talking. So I completed our first panel for the jumper on Friday night. It came together pretty quickly, which was very exciting. I did, however, realize while I was doing this section, I was like, this is incredibly thick. This can't be the thickness of the jumpers that people are making with those knitting kits that you see from like Wool and the Gang and the other ones. Yeah, no, I ended up cutting off a strand about partway through, and I was like, oh, that's quite a bit better. And then I was like, actually, and cut off one of the 10-ply ones, and it got so much softer and not overwhelmingly thick at the bottom. This is gonna be so warm when I wear it. By the time I got down to the last 4 stitches, the reducing stitches got pretty messy. So I don't know how I feel about that one, but I do like the little tassel thing at the end. I really like this color combination, and this is a lot softer and more comfortable. I'm talking way too much. So we'll have to figure out the neck shaping pretty soon, but for now, I think what I'll continue doing is some more panels. Let's start with the yellow one. This was our bundle of yarns for the yellow. I really like the variety of colors together. And I just went along matching what I was knitting to the blue and pink one I had already done. To be honest, this project probably also had a slow start because it was the weekend and Thomas and I had just downloaded Blueprints, and we really love a puzzle game, so I was just having the nicest, chillest weekend with my knitting and my mans and our game. Good morning. We are still very much on the floor. There's a lot of mess happening there. Don't worry about it. How are you doing? I was able to knit up these 2 panels, and I finally have figured out how I want to do the reducing stitches. We got there in the end so that it comes down, put that on my shoulder, so that it comes down to a nice point. I'm really happy with it. So come have a look, come have a look. And then so we're going to put orange in the middle of those 2. And then over here, this is gonna be the back. We've got pink, and I'm gonna do purple for in between that one. So this morning, I had a little go at attempting to shape a neckline for this, and I had a try at doing German short rows. I just kind of went for it, but I did it upside down, it turns out. So if I straighten out the starting row, it curves up real nicely like a neckline. But if I try to straighten out the bottom row, and that's just because I got it around the wrong way. I added 5 stitches at the top and then went downwards, which is the wrong way. I need to add 1 stitch and then work my way to a straight line. I think that's what we have to do. Just having a really good time. I'm having such a good time. This is my favorite project ever. This one makes me think of corn. It's corn! Wow, that was jarring. You know, I've been doing this for a while and I still can't figure out how to seamlessly integrate memes into my videos. Also, I feel like just saying the phrase seamlessly integrate memes makes me sound like Steve Buscemi with a backwards baseball cap. I have achieved a semblance of a neckline. Look, so this sits straight and this sits curved. However, you will probably notice that it looks like this little angle thing starts here, and then if you look over here, it comes out further because I did this 1 second, has an extra row of stitching. So I don't know how to fix that, so I'm clearly not doing it right just yet. But I think that for this project, that's gonna be close enough. I'm having a great time. I have finished my orange panel. Have a look. And I have learned some things. Oh, hi. Hello. So yes, we've ended up with some holes, and I have looked into this, and I have to do a slip, twist, situation. We've got to slip one more stitch over from the other side, wrap the yarn around, flip it back. That should help prevent the holes. I just need to figure out which side I need to do that on because I'm not 100% sure. Secondly, probably should have used a stretchy cast on method because that one might not stretch enough and I need it to go over my head. We have one more problem, so I'm gonna solve those, but I have one more problem. Now that this is the front, I need the back to match, and this one is narrower than the others. So I need to make up for that with this middle panel by adding a little bit to the side, but then it won't really be symmetrical. I don't know. Look, it's not gonna be great, but it's our first try and this is weird. We're just gonna roll with it. So let's try and learn a new cast on method.
You're gonna come around and grab your finger yarn and pull it through that opening. Twist it right now. So what I like to do is kind of
Nope, that's not right. Make a diamond. If anything, I'm doing this much tighter. I'm so sorry, I actually don't remember what this cast on method is or what the tutorial is that I'm following, but I do think it's character growth that I was able to watch a tutorial. I cast the threads on in the wrong order. Let's start again. Okay, I genuinely have no idea what I meant by that. How do you cast the yarns on in the wrong order? Clearly I was very confused by this because I just kept staring at it. Nope, changed my mind, we're starting again. Good morning. So last night my plan was to finish that purple back section of the jumper, but I just could not get this one out of my head, and the fact that it was smaller than the others and that the back neck section was going to have to be wider on one side to accommodate it, and I just was like, I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. So I may have knit a replacement for this one. Yay! And now they will all match in size and just fit together a lot better. Not a good sign, considering how much knitting we have to do for this project. I really shouldn't be unraveling things and doing them again, but it is a learning process and we got better as we went with those panels, so that's how it is. Oh, I see, that's why I unraveled it. I was confused, but clearly I'd made it wider the first time to accommodate the thinner panel because I thought that would save me time. And look at me now. Oh, also there's a purple yarn in here that goes from light to dark and thick to thin, and it's one of the reasons we're doing this project. I got a bag of good quality but completely mismatched yarn from a friend like 5 years ago, and I've just been holding it around every time I move house, and what else was I gonna use it for? Craft hoarding for the win. Oh, and I found this quite funny. I did the wrap and turn thing this time so I wouldn't get holes, but this different cast on method resulted in holes anyway. Hello, we're back. I have now finished our back panel. Oh, okay, all right, hi. Hi, bunny. Hello. These are our 6 panels for our jumper. I'm feeling really happy with it. I am a little concerned about how warm I'm gonna be because this is so chunky. I think that the next step is gonna be knitting some sleeves. I didn't mean to say it like that. I think what I'll do with these ones is I'm gonna run some thread through the very end where the cuff would go because I also wanna do, how do you explain it? Like a bell sleeve-ish or I don't know. The cuff is gonna be smaller than the width of the sleeve, yes. Maybe we do 3 the width of this, so then we increase it by another, I'm not even pointing, and then that increases it by a half. That sounds good to me. I might start by unraveling, oh wait, oh. Sorry, the washing machine is on. Yeah, I think we just leave that. We'll unravel just the end and turn that into one of our sleeve panels, save ourselves some time. So I think I will get started with green. This one here is a silk wool blend and it's so soft and it feels like such a waste to include it in this, but I don't know what else I'll do with it. 50% merino wool, 50% silk, 50-gram ball. What can you do with a 50-gram ball? What is it? What is it, bunny? Boop. I don't know what you want. I have an idea. I'm not gonna lie, this is slowing things down a bit, but I am out of breath a little bit. So with the sleeve panels, I had the bright idea to just put the raw ends, I don't know what the correct knitting term is, the unbound ends? I would put them on scrap yarn and once they were all ready, I would seam them together, then knit the cuff in the round all at once. This is harder than I thought though, because it's really hard to seam knitting that isn't finished. This is honestly like an offensive amount of color for me. I ended up knitting 2 of the green sleeve panels because I just wanted to and I have so much of the green. And now we've got to rip this one back so that that can be one of the sleeve panels, and I think I'm gonna do one with some blue and probably some more pink and orange. I am gonna no, I keep using the wrong word, it's knitting. Oh, careful! I just got headbutted by a boy. Hi! Hello, oh, he's cuddly. Oh, is he cuddly? Hello. Let's just try and power through the next 3 panels and then we're gonna figure out how we connect all of them. Hi. Okay, there might be another reason that this video took so long. As you can see, I was a lot more productive once I moved to the couch. I forgot to do arm shaping. All around me. I finished the last of the sleeve panels and the colors are so cute. I love them so much. This one's like a sherbet. This is the color of my connector pens that I would put together when I was in school. Seeing as I'm already gonna be seaming 3 panels together, I think I'm gonna do a sneaky and just reduce the stitches as I do the seam. I'm just gonna bring it in a little bit. I'm gonna do a knit 2 together. These are knit on the 15mm and I will knit the cuffs on a 12mm and then that should make them smaller. Look, it's my first try. I wasn't thinking. Look at all this color. So I have a latch hook and some yarn. So let's try and seam these together. I looked at a video for about 20 seconds. Let's give it a go. I love that the me making this jumper didn't even bother to explain what I was doing with the latch hook because I assume most of you are better at knitting than me. I had tried seaming my knitting once before with that beanie that I made using a tapestry needle. It was not pretty. I didn't think about how bulky the seams would be if I'm joining something this thick. It's probably gonna be like having shoulder pads. So chunky and thick and warm. I'd seen a video on Instagram months ago of someone using a latch hook to make a chain stitch, and seeing as the chain stitch is how my commercially produced jumper is seamed together, I figured that was the one to do. It was pretty slow going and the first of my attempts did unravel, but once I got the hang of it, I found this method was heaps neater than my sewn seams. Oh, and I did try using that maroon yarn for like a second before I realized that I should be using yarn colors that actually match the knitting that I'm doing. Oh my god, it's so bulky and oversized and it's so insanely warm. I am instantly overheating and I can feel myself starting to sweat. I've had this on for less than a minute. This is ridiculous. At least it looks terrible. Time to join up all the sleeves and then I guess I put the sleeve in and then close up the sides. We've got so many ends to weave in. Do not let me forget, we have to reduce some stitches because we're doing the sleeves, okay? I forgot to reduce the stitches. Yeah, so adding to the things I have failed to explain, sleeves are supposed to get a bit smaller as your arm gets a bit smaller towards the wrist, and even though I wanted full sleeves, I wanted the cuff to fit, and if I didn't bring the seams in a bit, then the cuff would be huge. What I'm doing here to solve it is a bad idea though, particularly in a jumper that is already so chunky. I just added a bunch of weight and bulk in the sleeves that did not need to be there. Also, closing up the sleeves completely was a huge mistake. I made it so much harder to join the sleeves to the body of the jumper. This is the heaviest jumper in existence. Oh my god. If you go swimming while wearing this, you will drown and die. I am going to attempt to now join these up and knit them in the round. I haven't done that before. Also, Thomas and I are gonna keep playing blueprints, so I'm gonna do this on the couch. Actually, I couldn't figure out the magic loop technique and play blueprints at the same time, so I gave up and started weaving in ends instead. I have my desk back. Hi, good morning. I decided to try knitting the cuff without filming it, just to kind of take the pressure off, because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I accidentally did the magic loop technique. That was like a week and a half ago, and I don't remember how I did it. We do have one cuff, and all of these ends that need to be not just woven in, but also I need to bind off all of these edges. It's so bulky. This was a terrible way to do it. Let's get started, hopefully making a cuff and not getting too frustrated. So these are the threads that I'm using for the cuff. We're nearly out of our light purple, so it's gonna have to switch to dark purple instead. So the weird thing is I'm using these 10mm needles to do the cuff. Oh yes, at some point I went and bought fancy interchangeable needles. The sleeve has been done in 15mm and they look the same. So I fed the needles back through the knitting, and this actually took quite a while because I had managed to knit these to different lengths and I had to unravel the purple one. Also, let's just take a moment to appreciate how much I struggled trying to knit two together with these huge needles. It is truly painful to watch. Oh, do you know what? Just believe me, I got there in the end. Once I figured out how to join it in the round, I did a very haphazard magic loop where I just pulled the cable through randomly to try and avoid ladders. I did the Italian bind off for the cuffs so they would be stretchy. I found this bind off by accident because I saw a clip on Pinterest of a bind off that looked exactly like the bind off on my favorite cardigan, and that's quite stretchy. This process is also painful to watch. After that, I had to bind off all the loose ends and spent the evening watching old Lindsay Ellis videos and weaving in ends. Haha! It's so big I don't know how to show you it. We have cuffs. I'm terrified of getting this wet. If you've ever washed a woolen item, you'll know that they get heavier when they get wet. This is already so heavy. In fact, we need to weigh it. It's 1.7 kilos or 3 pounds 11 ounces. So we're gonna prep this one for blocking, and I imagine it's probably gonna take a week for it to dry. Other exciting news in knitting, I finished my first scarf. All right, I have my blocking mat set up. Don't worry about that one, that's for my slippers, these ones. Oh, I cannot explain how heavy this is. As soon as I had completely submerged it in the water, I realized I forgot to get a before shot. I wanted to do the knitting influencer thing where I do before blocking and after blocking, and I guess we'll never know what the difference is. I just didn't remember, I'm sorry. Now let's try and stretch this into shape, I guess. Oh, she's a big girl. All right, let's hope Alf doesn't step on it. It's finally time to start the stockings. I don't know what to call them. I know it's not tights, but they're kind of like sock shoes because I do want to stitch some leather onto the bottom. I have some leather scraps somewhere. I need to figure out the shaping around the foot. I guess we'll get to that when we get to it. These are 10 centimeter needles and a 20 centimeter cable. So 30 centimeters total, which should be right for doing around my thigh. And then as it gets closer, we're gonna have to, I guess, reduce stitches and then change to magic loop when it gets to down the calf. But yeah, I'm just keen to get started. How many stitches am I gonna cast on? We're just gonna guess. When we did our initial swatches where I was trying to figure out what thickness, we've learned that those were too thick. So some of this has gotta come out. What have I done? No. I'm just gonna cast on. So I guess yarn held together is fine, unless you have to unravel it and remove one of the yarns, because that's a little challenging. It's pretty loose. I guess I didn't think about how much it would stretch. I'm probably just gonna keep going for now. I might regret this. There's just way too much sock here. We gotta remove a lot. Oh no, it's the consequences of my actions. So this is how far I got. I am now. And so now I'm gonna switch to stocking knit and I'm gonna just keep trying. I was trying to figure out different angles to film myself. I think this is my least favorite. This is where we are at. I'm now slightly concerned that it's gonna be too tight because I didn't realize how non-stretchy stocking net is. Yikes. I have finally untangled the mess. Look at that. So yeah, I've just been doing reductions every 4 rows. I am keeping track of it in a notebook, trying to at least. That's right, because I did all the math vaguely. I did a little bit of math. I basically just compared it to this thigh-high boot that I have. It's chugging along nicely. I'm gonna get myself a little treat and I'm gonna keep knitting. It is so cold. Why did I get a frozen drink? And you should bear in mind that this is meant to look bad. That was the goal. I need to remember that. Oh, yes. Lovely. So honestly, I think the sizing is pretty good. I don't know, the ribbing is really loose, but the stocking net is tight. So I think this is one of the situations where I was supposed to use a smaller size needle for the ribbing part. Because I hadn't figured out how I was approaching the foot, I decided to just knit both stockings to the ankle and let future me deal with it. And I still haven't decided if they're boots or stockings. The garter really throws me off. The problem with moving multiple balls of yarn around the house. There she is. We have our second stocking done down to the ankle. I have spent the better half of today trying to figure out the next bit. I traced a shoe that I have. Not a Timothy Chalamet shoe, just a regular shoe. The length and foot covering were mostly guesswork, but at least it's something. We have the base and we have the top of the shoe. They're very long, that's the point. And so the idea is that that's what the shoe would look like from the side. And so now all I have to do is try and shape the bottom of the stocking to match this shape. I'm just gonna sew each of these flat. I probably probably won't sew this bit. This is for the leather. And then just seam it together. I can do this with short rows, I think. This looks like the top that I did, the jumper, yeah? Oh, I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking. We're going into it recklessly and with joy, not stress. I'm gonna do my best. And as long as it goes on my foot, that's all that matters. We are lowering the bar of expectations. I hope you already had yours pretty low. You probably did, because I told you I don't know what I'm doing. But we're gonna make something wearable because I said so. I cast off a few stitches, so I was essentially knitting flat and was able to start the shaping. The reductions were slip slit, knit, I really struggled to say that, and knit two together, one stitch in from the edge. And it turns out I've already forgotten that you knit the K2 together through the back, I guess. At least that's what I'm doing here. I have not been doing that recently. Stirrup pants. Oh, she gets tight. Haha, that's the heel. And then, right? Oh, it's so flattering. In the interest of transparency, I zoomed in this shot because my mouth was open and I looked stupid. For the top of the shoe, I tried a single cast on this time and I didn't cast on the whole way, so I could avoid having an additional row of stitches and it being uneven. All right, so I'm gonna go back and then cast on the rest of this. Why is it so difficult? More hair! Oh yeah, does anyone else find they're constantly catching their loose hairs in their knitting? The influencers don't tell you about that. Let's have a look at this. Oh wow, I need to... Oh, I need to stretch more. Oh, I'm cramping. I should stand. That would help. All right. Oh yeah, that's great. Moment of truth. Oh, wow, my right leg is warm. All we have left to do on these, attach these two bits together. We cut out a sole from some leather scraps that I have somewhere in there. I cut them off of a couch a couple of years ago that I found on the street. I found the footage. It was from August 2022 when I got my first camera and I was terrified of filming myself, but I was really trying to practice, so I was filming everything. Couch leather. Now, Vee, do you want me to cut out these slipper soles? Yeah? All right, I'm gonna do it. Let's go. Okay, I swear it's two, but this one's just like, I cut it on the fold, I don't know why. All right, I tried using my leatherwork punch, but the hole that it makes is just too big for the thread. And then on this one, you can barely even see it, but I tried just like shoving the owl through it, and that is a much better size, and my kind of sashiko needle can just get through it. So we're gonna do that one, and we're going to use sashiko thread because it's thick and it matches. Let's do it. I know I've said it in the video once before, but seriously, craft hoarding for the win. I knew this leather would come in handy and it was free. All it cost me was a decent amount of social anxiety because the house that had put the couch out was being renovated and I could hear power tools and I was so scared that someone would come out and ask me what I was doing. But also they were clearly putting it out for hard garbage. They weren't gonna miss it. Plus it got rained on a bunch. I remember it was out for weeks before it was collected, so I don't feel bad for saving the leather. The first one is done. We're trying it on. Oh, it's a little tight, but it's on there. I didn't mean for the toe to come up, but it does.
Everything is to come by. Oh my god.
I think it's good.
It's good?
Yeah, it's good.
Next. Two shoes. I am so happy with these. Let's talk about shorts. Well, they're bloomers, to be honest. This is what I'm gonna use my knitting pattern. I have tied a little bit of yarn around here. I'm gonna leave some eyelets. I'm sure I can figure out how to put holes in my knitting. I think I'll probably make the leg a tiny bit longer, and I'll also make them a little bit wider on the side. I'm just gonna recreate the shape of the shorts flat and then seam it together through the crotch and then put a little waistband on it. They're gonna be so ugly. Just in case you also struggle to visualize it, here it is. I did a couple of swatches for the shorts, starting with 5mm needles and a 10-ply alpaca blend with a rib edge. This was 6mm needles with scraps throughout. Unfortunately, it was too stiff and I really needed lace weight for this and I didn't have enough. Then I tried Pico edge on the 5mm needles and unfortunately this was the winner. I say unfortunately because the Pico edge takes forever to cast on. It's like cast on for, bind off to, over and over again. Also, I thought from my swatch that this one would stop the stocking net from curling up the way the rib knit does, but it didn't. So I wouldn't use this one again. Update time on the shorts. I overshot the mark a little bit. Yeah. Holy crap, I have so much to knit. I wanted it to be a little bit longer, but yeah. These ones are gonna take a long time. So I'm not sure how much of it I will film because I'm probably gonna be doing most of this in the evenings on the couch, in the mornings. I'm just gonna be knitting this in every spare minute that I have. I decided to do some ugly color blocking so they wouldn't be plain gray, and I made the eyelets using yarn over and knit two together. I have given up on the blocking. It was down there for a week and wasn't even close to drying, but up here for a day and it is getting there. Still wet though. Good morning. It has been a couple of days. I'm hoping that the last time I talked to you, I let you know that I overshot the mark quite a bit. I did a bunch of maths to correct it, and maybe I got that math wrong. I did get the eyelets done and then very cleverly decided to introduce some color work, which made many more holes. It's a little hard to show you because of the stocking net, it is rolling up. This is the back of the shorts. That's like where the seam is gonna be to do them up. They're very small, but we've got the holes for the eyelets. This part's really bad. Don't look too clear. Oh my God, it's so bad. So basically I started doing the reductions. I tried to do them all along what would be a side seam here and it looked real bad. So I just started spreading them out. I had a lot of trouble introducing the color. See, like I tried wrapping it, not good. I have tried to keep track of everything that I have done and it is a mess, especially this part. Math is wrong. I completely ignored all of the shaping that I'm gonna do for the short seam. What I've been doing is just physically matching this piece to the shorts. There's a whole bunch of reductions that are gonna happen between here and here, there. I forgot about them. And so I've done a bunch of knit togethers to reduce the stitches when I didn't need to. The shape's gonna be really weird. That's the summary. All of that, blah, 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 all of my talking, I got the math wrong. The shape's gonna be weird, but they were gonna be weird anyway. So yeah. One positive is that I did figure out catching floats, so there aren't a million ends to weave in. I told you the color work was ugly. I was watching the Decameron at this point. I don't know how to pronounce it. Thank you to the viewer who recommended it. I had such a good time. Hello, it's update time. Haha. So I'm hoping that this whole like rolling up situation is gonna get better after blocking. What we're up to now is the ribbing for the waistband. I wanna do a tubular bind off where I can put some elastic in the middle. I mean, to be honest, how hard would it be? I can just fold it down and then sew it through. We're using a smaller needle this time. Learning. I did see a tip that you should do a row of stocking knit in the smaller needle first to make the transition smoother, so that's what I did. Switching back to wooden needles here was so frustrating because it feels so slow now. I am a convert to steel. So we're starting to get there with the ribbing. I'm gonna keep going with that, but I have the wrong white balance on. Hang on, is that correct? Indoor light? Oh, awful. That looks better. Okay, side quest time. Oh, she's so heavy. My brother is having a Lord of the Rings themed birthday party. I want to make him a cloak. Alf leaves snacks all over the floor in here so that he can eat them later. So my floor is just, we're gonna have to vacuum first. I used the same cloak pattern that I used in my 48-hour sewing video, but I had to extend the shoulders a bit because my brother isn't a 5'4" woman. To be completely honest, I had initially planned to make a whole video making this cloak and our costumes for the party, but I had already made 2 other videos during this project and I knew that if I made a third, I was going to get completely derailed and I couldn't afford any more delays. I say that, but I chose to do French seams with a heavy wool and a sewing machine that hadn't been used in months and kept malfunctioning, so this cloak actually took me 4 days to make. Well, that side quest ended up turning into a quest. Wow, that took so long. The good news is, I finished the first half of the shorts. This waistband is going to be so bulky. This is the only elastic I had. I think that means we're like 50% of the way done with this project, which is terrifying because it is now the 29th of May and hopefully editing me will know how long I've been doing this for, but I don't. It's been a while. I am now just going to emulate this one in reverse because, oh my gosh, don't let me make 2 of the same side of the pants. So I am going to cast on the second leg and go and watch the entire Hobbit and Lord of the Rings franchise. Yes, it's for research purposes. And no, I haven't cleaned up the mess. I'll figure that out later. I forgot how long the Pico Edge takes to do. We are 2 movies in and this is all I have done. I finished The Desolation of Smaug and that's it. I gotta figure out how to get faster at this. 3rd movie. Do you like my budget Hobbit feet? I thought of it last minute. Thomas was radagast. The cloak fit my brother pretty well. Yay! I pulled together a Hobbit outfit from stuff in my wardrobe. Points if you can name the videos they're from. We went early because I am not a night owl and I was not gonna last the night with the youths. my family are such good sports letting me film them for my videos. Speaking of my videos, Jesus, that's really scraping for a segue. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a like and subscribe if you feel like it. It really helps the channel so much. That's it. That's all I'm doing this time. Okay, kisses, bye. Haha! It's so ugly. I do have to keep reminding myself that it's meant to be ugly. Like, that's the reason I've made the colors so... Ugh. Turns out that my way of doing things where I just kind of like knit a bunch, then put the two pieces together and like hope that they fit hasn't gone great. Yeah, this one ended up smaller somehow, and when I got to the waistband, we were actually 3 stitches short. Who are you talking to?
Come on now.
So I had to make some extra stitches, and whenever I've done that, I have put holes in here. And I think a big part of that is that I took a really quick look, and I mean like 2 seconds of the start of a tutorial, and I was like, I think I get it. Clearly did not get it. Yeah, whoops. Like it rolls out a little bit. Also, these instructions were basically useless. My friend Blake came over that day. He's the one that films my better reveal sections, and I swear we got a lot of work done on our respective projects and didn't just chat and eat pastries all day. Once both sides of the shorts were done, it was weaving in ends, seaming them together with the chain stitch, joining our elastic, and then folding the waistband over and sewing it in. I used a variation of the Italian bind off for this because I figured it would help retain the elasticity. This time I remembered before blocking. It's like wearing a nappy. There's so much fabric here. So let's skip forward to a week from now. Sorry, real quick, it's not 1 week later yet. I don't know which is the front or the back. So here's the other side. I can't tell if this is better or worse. Remember, they are meant to be ugly. After blocking. I clearly forgot the camera transitions exist. I'm sorry. I don't think that they're any different. I think they look the same. Oh yeah, and I definitely had them on backwards the first time. This is how we know that little dot, that's the front. Let's keep going. Now that the shorts are done, time to get started on the gloves. So at some point in between starting this project and now, I don't know when, time is a mystery to me at this point. I have no concept of time. I learned how to knit with double pointed needles. I've walked past this ball of yarn constantly throughout this project. I just knew that this had to be the gloves. It gives me like Harlequin vibes. I figure I'm gonna knit it on my 3mm knitting needles because that sounds about right. For gloves, we're gonna have to do some maths. I think that my afternoon is just going to be constantly starting and pausing a tutorial. I'm starting with this one. Well, I can't see if I'm in the shot, if this is a good spot, but this tutorial, that may just be the best hand I've ever drawn. Right? It's pretty good. Around here. This took so long to knit. Just the swatch took forever. How pretty are the colors? Okay, so I'm gonna measure this up, work out what my row gauge is and my stitch gauge, and then we can actually do the calculations and cast on our gloves. I need to cast on 45 stitches in a 2x2 rib to do our wrist cuff situation. Let's just give it a go. It's pretty much the middle of winter by this stage, so it's getting darker and colder sooner. Hence, I think it's still the afternoon and I'm rugged up in my hoodie. Also, it's really tricky to find an angle to film this that works. Good morning. Let me say right out the gate, just don't look at it, all right? I haven't tidied this room up. I don't want to. Secondly, it's really hard to style your hair when it's still half wet, so just ignore that as well. Focus just on this bit, I guess. It is now time to do the thumb gusset, and oh boy, is that a lot of maths. I had a little bit of trouble with sorting out the increases. I guess third time's a charm there. And in the tutorial, he does continental knitting and I do not, I do English. So I'm doing my best to follow very slowly. It's gonna take forever, so please enjoy some footage of probably just me frowning. Realizing I wrote decrease for all of these instead of increase because it was my first time doing increases. All right, I have made it up to the crook of the thumb. Of course the sun comes out right now. It's really hard to film because Thomas is sitting right over there on the couch and it's throwing me off.
Hello.
Stop it! So yeah, I'm actually really enjoying, first of all, working on a finer gauge. It's quite easy to maneuver and it's a little bit more interesting than just knitting on, you know, a pair of straight needles. So now we're on to the part where I'm probably gonna start to hate this project. Join up the crook of the thumb here and then set these aside and then, I don't know, knit the rest of the hand maybe. Prepare for more frowning while I follow this tutorial. So frowny. Although that is a remnant of my accounting days, my resting face is just frowning. I gotta say, gloves looked so intimidating, but this tutorial from Nimble Needles is really good. It explains every step in detail, and it was pretty easy to follow until we got to picking up stitches, which is more of a my brain issue. I just get overwhelmed and I stop processing information completely. I also really appreciated the tip to use wire to hold the stitches rather than scrap yarn. It was way easier to get the stitches back on the needle. Kind of looks like I've got a halo. So the camera died last night and I just kept knitting. So that's the pinky finger. I've started doing some reducing stitches every couple of rows, and so we're going to try and bring it to a point. Okay, hang on. I'll put it on. Pretty good. I'm really happy with it. That one ended up being longer than I was expecting, but it's going to be good, except for that part. This looks stupid, Thomas. I picked up stitches and cast on additional ones to make the ring finger, feeling very proud, but apparently I didn't film any of it. Hello, I'm sick. I started to get a sore throat last night. I stopped filming at some point. I'm still not feeling not feeling good. This is where we're at. We ended up with another finger yesterday. I'm a little concerned at how quickly I am getting through the yarn, but also look at how big I made this middle finger. Look at how much additional room there is. From the point of when we started this finger, I was not following the tutorial anymore. Anything that happens is not their fault. I've tried to do whatever I can to stop there from being holes in between the fingers, but nah. The point is, I'm not feeling great. I'm probably gonna film fewer updates. I'm just gonna keep going on these stupid fingers. Ah, I scratched a pimple. I am still sick. If I talk too much, my throat's gonna just, but I finished my first glove. It's feeling very Grinch-like. I only worked out, once I got to the fourth finger, that I was doing them too thick. Like they're sitting kind of weird. And then this one actually, I feel like bends a lot better, and so does the thumb. So I've learned for the next one, and I'm hoping that blocking will help. Also, how did I not think that this would happen? We can do, I tried really hard to not get holes in it, but like if you look, there are still little holes at all of the joints. That's not the tutorial's fault. That's me just randomly diving in and pulling up threads wherever I felt like it. I am going to cast on the second glove now. I think we have like half of the yarn. Oh my God, my head. All right, I'm going back to the couch and I'm gonna keep knitting. I will see you in a bit. Bye. I love it. I'm so gonna wear these just around. Update time. I'm still a little sniffy, but I am almost better. So this is how far we've made it on the second glove. It's really hard to make two gloves the same size. I also forgot that camera transitions are a thing. This is what we've got so far. This is how much yarn we have left. Let's see how much we can do. Turns out I had plenty of yarn. I have not been knitting long enough to be able to estimate how much yarn becomes how much knitted garment. They don't look like gloves when I look at them in the camera. They look like some kind of alien plant. I haven't decided if I'm gonna leave these strings on there at the bottom. I'm kind of feeling like I am. So I'm gonna block these ones. Am I gonna block these ones? Yeah, I'm gonna block these ones. I hope it fixes some of the shaping. Now that I had learned to pick up stitches from that tutorial, I was able to add the garter straps to our boots, and I decided just to make some straps I could pin to my underwear. No one's gonna see it. No one will know. It's finally time to do the mask. So the pattern is from a 1992 issue of Threads magazine, and it is by Meg Swanson, and it is called Snowfoolin'. The pattern is kind of a little bit more of a recipe, but she does provide pattern instructions for the white pointy hat, which is great because the pointy one is the one I want to do with the full like ruff. I've got a random amount of a random assortment of yarns, and so having enough is kind of an issue. She says in the recipe that you need 4 ounces of a worsted weight yarn. I have spent the evening doing some swatches so that we can pick out which one we're gonna do for the mask. Let's have a look at them. So these were my options. It's gotta be done on 4mm needles, and it needs to have 5 inches per stitch for the small size. I really liked these colors, but I am worried this one is less than 4 ounces, so that's about 113 grams, and I've only got about 100 grams here. And I also think that this one might just be a little bit too busy. I initially wanted to do yellows like the original inspo picture, but it just doesn't really pop. It feels like a nothing burger. This is kind of what I initially thought I would use for the hood. This brown would be the only brown in it. It's kind of clash with the rest of the outfit. I don't love this, the white with the purple. It's just kind of meh. If we have, oh, it's a mess. Hang on, bear with. Oh God, what have I done? Tangled. All right, whatever. So this is the swatch that I like the most. I think that the stitches are real neat, so you can actually see it. It's not too busy. This right here is the correct size. So that is this one and this one. When we get to the top part here, it's this one and this one, and that is just a little bit too big. So we're gonna do this one held together with that one until it runs out, and then we'll use that one. Let's do it. We're casting on 120 stitches on our 4mm round needles, and then we're going to do this decreasing situation to make our collar ruff. I am very excited, but do you know what I'm more excited for? I'm finally going to a high tea. So I recently realized that I love high teas, but have never actually been to one. So today I am fixing that, and I am heading out with one of Tom's good friends to go and get a fancy high tea. So let's go do that. So I cast on 120 stitches, joined it in the round, and then I actually read the pattern and it's 140 stitches. So then I cast it on another 2 times because I keep getting it wrong, as in I did not have enough string left at the bottom and now I have way too much. I think this is 140 stitches. It's too many stitches to count. This doesn't look like it's going to be big enough to be the ruff. Also, high tea was amazing. There was too much food. We had 2 hours to eat it and I didn't eat it all. So
I have leftovers. This is really good.
I checked. It's Pearl 5, Knit 2 for 10 rounds. So aggressive thumbs up. Hello, slight update. How cute are these colors together? I'm really happy with these ones. I'm just gonna try and, I realized while doing the ruff that I actually would like the ruff to be kind of larger. I want it to be a lot. I've now pulled in 3 strands, so I've got all 3 of these. And first of all, that makes it a really nice color. So it's gonna bring it more up to like a medium for the collar, and then I'll go back to small for the head. I'm gonna add, I think, just a couple of rows to each of the segments so that it might be a little bit longer. So I'm gonna do a couple of rows with this. I will sub this one in pretty soon. Then for the face, it's probably just gonna be these 2 or these 2. That's the plan. My cold had actually returned, so it was back to being cozy on the couch. I couldn't have picked a better project to get sick during, because this is probably what I would have done anyway. So for the reductions for the collar, the instructions were to knit 2 purl 5 for 10 rows, then reduce one of the pearls so it becomes knit 2 purl 4, and then continue in that manner until you have 10 rows of knit 2 purl 2. It was around this point that I realized that I had been gripping this thing for dear life and that my tension was way too tight for a collar that I wanted to be big and full. I loosened it up a little bit here, but yeah, how is this gonna fit? I can't stretch it out with one hand. It's now time to do the chin shaping. I need to do short rows. We may remember from the jumper that I make holes and stuff when I do short rows, so I have to do wrap and turn, I think. What do you reckon? It's gonna sit like, but how is it gonna get out onto my shoulder? Okay, so I am partway through the short row shaping for the chin. So I did find out how to do the wrap and turn. You're supposed to, when you come back across that row, pick up the wrap into the stitch, and then that way it hides it and pulls it to the back. I'm gonna stop looking at it. I'm gonna go to bed. I left my TV on. Good morning. Yes, I am right where you left me. I have done the chin shaping, the short rows are done. I only left a couple of holes, so we're good. And now I am doing the back of head shaping. That's what it's looking like right now. Now that we're at the head, I'm doing the pink and purple threads, but I'm doing the occasional pulling this one in. It helps blend the colors a little bit between the neck and the face. So I'm just gonna continue doing some increases for the back of the head shaping, and then I am going to knit up to, I guess, where the nose is, and we're gonna do the mouth at the end. I'm so scared about that part. You have to cut the threads. So yeah, I guess I will continue knitting and we will meet up at the nose. At this stage, I had been knitting pretty much all day, every day for a couple of weeks, and my hands were finally starting to feel it. In particular, my index finger had developed a small lump in the joint that still hasn't gone away. Hello. That was too much. The whole house shook. I'm avoiding saying good morning because, like, at this stage, how many times must I have said good morning in this video? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I have transferred this onto some longer needles so that I can actually try it on. There's so much loose yarn in here, and honestly, I'm probably just gonna leave it. Why did I do my hair? The one day I've actually done my hair and I'm about to ruin it. Here we go. Yeah, I ruined my hair. Oh, that's it. It's a little scratchy if I'm honest, but holy hell, it's warm. I honestly might just wear this around the house in winter. It would get so, without a mouth hole, It's in my mouth. This is like alpaca. It's very fuzzy. Without a mouth hole, this would get so gross and sweaty. Do you remember wearing masks during COVID in winter and it would just get wet? Ugh. But yeah, so what we have to do now is to knit through, cast off 4 stitches, right where the nose would be. And then on the next round, we cast on 13 stitches to make our beak. I might do 15. And then we have to do triple decreases at the center of the nose to like bring it in. Why am I still talking to the camera like this? Ugh. Let's do a beak. So I cast off the 4 stitches, which was fine. Then I cast on 15 stitches, which also seemed fine. But then when it was time to knit those cast on stitches, it got challenging. The space you have to knit is limited by the length of the cast off section, and I didn't think to do a stretchy bind off, so it got really tight and difficult to maneuver, and I ended up stretching those stitches that I cast off a lot. Oh God, okay. So we slip 2 stitches together over to there. The nose reduction was 3 into 1, so you slip 2 stitches together onto the right needle, knit 1, then bring the 2 slip stitches back over. It was super difficult, and I wasn't even sure that it would work at all. The first one took over a minute. Oh my God, we did it. It's going okay, I think. Hopefully it's gonna work. But I just wanted to get a shot of this because I can't explain how obsessed I am with this yarn. I love it so much, and it's this, like, it's not gonna exist soon in this form. It's gonna be in here. And here is some Alf appreciation. How you doing, bunny? Hi. Oh, hello. Oh, excuse you. Alfred. What are you doing? What are you doing under the blanket? They're so pretty together, and I just wanted to appreciate that before they disappear into this accursed hood. The second decrease was a little bit easier, but still really challenging. And then the third decrease was better, and it just got easier with everyone. So just so you know, for when you make your own accursed hood, please tell me you're gonna make one. Y'all, I'm trying to work it into my vocabulary because it feels like a nice gender neutral version of guys, and folks just doesn't really feel like me. Y'all, guess what? We have a schnoz. I really, really wanted it to be longer than this. So at this stage, I just want to try it on and make sure that I'm finished with reducing the nose, and then we're going to continue going up to the top of the head. Let's try it on. Ow. Oh, okay, this is really hard to see because it's above my eyes now. Well, it's something. I feel like my posture is immediately worse wearing this. Like, instead of standing normally, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm excited. When I reached the base of the hat section, I did 2 rows of pearls for the border. There was another thing you could do in the instructions, but I was a bit overwhelmed with learning new things at this stage. The pattern provided options for the pointy cap by reducing left or right leading, which will create a twist, or double reductions more spaced out to make it straight. Based on our original inspo pic though, I thought it would be better if it looked a bit off kilter, so I went with the twist. I placed markers to separate it into 3 sections, each with 26 stitches, and I did the reductions every 2 rows for a while, but I added an extra row here and there to make it a bit pointier. Also, I don't know why I decided it would be a good idea to show you the progress of this like I'm some guy holding a fish he caught. Look at him. This means we're up to the final step, the one I have been dreading. I just watched a video on the I-cord bind off and it's very confusing, but the first thing we need to do is I need to figure out how to mark where the eyes need to go and the mouth. We gotta try it on and I gotta figure out how to mark them without stabbing myself in the eyes. Okay, no, I have an idea. I can't even tell if I'm in the shot. Ta-da! Ha, 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 ha. Okay, here's the plan. I hope I am facing the camera. I feel like I am. There we go. Let's do it, I hope. I don't want to do it, I don't want to cut them. I can do it. I fed the DP ends through the right side of each of the stitches so I wouldn't lose the stitches when I pulled the yarn. Honestly, the bigger issue was trying to get the yarn out at all. The pattern said to pull 1 row, but I did 2 to try and make the eye hole a little rounder. I wove in the ends before I started to knit the picked up stitches. The edging was a 2-stitch I-cord, which is definitely not my favourite. You cast on 2 additional stitches at the start, and honestly I can't remember much more than that. I may have blocked it out. Honestly, I was about to explain that there's a bunch of casting off, but also moving stitches around, but I genuinely do not remember. Once you're out of stitches, you have to weave the ends in together, and there were tutorials for how to do this, but my brain just could not. So mine ended up kind of messy, but I'll live. Then it was just the same process for the mouth. You know, the process I couldn't explain because I don't remember. So I only blocked the nose and the cuff for this one because I really like how the hat and everything else was fitting. So I just wanted to get this a little bit pointier and this a little bit floofier. And I think we've done it. I don't think I have ever been this excited to film a reveal before. So for like 5% of you, this is probably gonna ruin your day. For the rest of you, enjoy. sorry. I'm so sorry. I've already reviewed some of the footage, and who would think we could keep reaching new lows? But we have. For everyone still here, thank you. You get it. You get me, and I love you, and I appreciate you. And again, I'm so sorry. I had an amazing time doing this project. It has been the chillest, funnest project. I learned so much. I have advanced my knitting skills so much. I'm genuinely gonna wear this around the house just because it's really warm and cozy. Like it's real loose. It's really hard to breathe in the mask and dance in it. This has been a great time for me. I don't know about you. Thank you for hanging out and sticking with it this long. I'll see you next time for God knows what. Bye.